Oh, this is tricky. Hi, I'm Jessica, and welcome to my channel. If you clicked on this video, most likely you love food just as much as I do. With the Lunar New Year coming up, I decided I wanted to try a couple of food experiments. The first one is making my own sweetened red bean paste. Red beans are really popular in Asian food. You can use it in both a savory application and a sweet application. The next thing I wanted to try was pan frying mochi. Normally I bake my mochi, so I really wanted to see if pan frying it would be even better. With that said, let's get to making these red bean mochi cakes. To make the red bean paste, I soaked the azuki beans overnight. I changed the water about 2 to 3 times just to give it some fresh, warm water to continue the softening. After an overnight rest, I washed them one more time and put them into my rice cooker. I'm checking on them every 15 minutes or so just to make sure they're getting soft. The rice cooker is a great option because it just gently simmers everything instead of having to stand over a watched pot. This little guy smushed pretty easily, but it still got a little bit of a bite, so I'm gonna let it keep boiling. Now that they're soft enough, I'm just gonna mash them with the back of my spoon. Next, I'm going to sweeten the red bean paste. I am going to use a 1-to-1 ratio. So 1 part beans to 1 part sugar. I'm going to go ahead and let that simmer for about 15 minutes. Keep cooking until most of the water has evaporated, probably 95% of it, and then it'll be ready to further mash and cool. Now we're going to start making the dough. I've got our glutinous rice flour here. Into that, I will add some just hot boiling water. Then use my trusty chopsticks to start stirring it and create a doughy ball. Next, I'm going to turn it out onto a floured surface so that we can knead it into a ball. Just go slowly here because it's still very crumbly. After a couple of minutes of kneading, you've got a nice soft ball. It's holding together, and we're going to shape it into a log and portion it out. Roll this guy out into a log, and then we'll split it into 4 pieces. This is the homemade red bean paste. It's a little on the chunky side, so we're going to see how it goes. What I'm going to do now is scoop out 1 tablespoon so that we can put it in each of the balls. Next step is to take one of our portions. We're going to roll it out into a ball and then flatten it so that we can fill. Ball. And flatten. Drop a tablespoon in and see if we can fold all the way around and seal. Ooh, just barely. Fingers keep touching the filling and then it's making the outside kind of brownish. Not the prettiest, but we do have a seal. I'm just going to very gently reshape it into a ball. Try and pinch that seam. Alright, this first one's got a few little cracks, so I think what I'll do is, as I'm rolling out the next wrapper, I'm going to do it as thin as possible. Okay, I think we've learned from our first mistake. I made like a 3.5–4 inch round. I think that should give us more surface area to wrap it without it bursting. So I'm trying to make a nice tight rosette kind of pattern, almost sealing and pinching those sides in before I flatten it. Alright, I think that is much better. So this was the first one I did. I didn't roll it out quite that thin. The second one looks much better. Nice tight seal, far less cracks. Not bad looking. Definitely got a couple little cracks. I'm gonna fry them in some coconut oil over medium heat for about 2 minutes per side. You should get this nice golden crispy skin. So time for my final thoughts. Personally, I don't think it's worth it to make your own red bean paste for this recipe. The texture that I got was just a little too chunky and it wasn't really worth the time and effort, even though a lot of it is inactive time because you're soaking or simmering. But for this particular recipe, I think actually buying the pre-made version would be better. The consistency of a pre-made version is much smoother, and I think that would lend well to the textures of pan-fried mochi. So in the future, I would just buy homemade red bean paste and call it a day. Second, for pan frying mochi, it was actually super delicious. I think using coconut oil was perfect because it gave you a little bit of that sweet, nutty flavor, but just be very, very careful that you turn on your vent because coconut oil has a really high smoking point and you don't want to set off the fire alarm. The one downside to pan fried mochi is you have to eat it when it's hot. If you don't, it becomes rock hard and cold and it totally loses all the benefits of frying. If you found those tips helpful, don't forget to like this video. Be sure to also subscribe because I cover a lot about my life in the Bay Area, everything from baseball to pageants to hikes, and you don't want to miss out.